up, we've got Charlotte Hill, who was 31 when she took over as Chief Executive of UK Youth in 2010, which represents over 5,500 voluntary youth organisations and youth clubs. And Charlotte was also awarded the Rising CEO Star of the Charity Times Awards in 2012.
Thank you very much indeed. It's also quite embarrassing to be introduced as a rising CEO star. As you've heard, my name is Charlotte. It's really funny coming to talk to you all about myself, because what I'm used to doing is coming to talk to people about my organisation. So I'm very used to coming and talking to people about UK youth and youth work and all of the great programmes we run. So it's really strange to come and kind of just talk about myself, but that's what I've been asked to do. So I am now the ripe old age of 34, so not that young anymore. But when I became the Chief Executive, I was considered at the time quite a young person to have become a Chief Exec, so to have got to the top of the organisation. I took over from a guy who was retiring. UK Youth is 104 years old as a charity now, but when I took over it was our kind of 100th anniversary, and the guy who was retiring had been the Chief Executive for 37 years. And I was only 31, and I'd never been a Chief Executive before, and I'd never run an organisation before, so you can imagine it was an incredibly daunting task to kind of come and step into these really big shoes of someone who had been doing this job for a really long time. And quite often people said to me, how have you got to be Chief Executive at this age, and what are the skills that you've developed, and how have you developed them to get to do this job? So I thought I'd just spend a couple of minutes telling you about how I got to be the Chief Executive. First of all, I think that the kind of myth that I always want to dispel with people is that people become Chief Executives are all from a certain sort of background, or, you know, have come from a certain sort of education. I grew up very much in a single parent household with my mum, who just worked really, really hard to make sure I got every opportunity I could with what she could provide me. I went to a normal state school, wasn't particularly the best person at school necessarily, but kind of worked hard. And I think the thing that my mum always taught me that always really stayed with me was to grab every single opportunity that's given to you and just say yes. When someone says, would you like to get involved in this club, or would you like to come on this trip, or would you be interested in volunteering to do this? If you can, and if you think there's a way you can meet new people through that or develop new skills, then say yes and grab every opportunity you can. You don't know quite what door that's going to open for you. And I would say that the reason why I've probably got to do lots of different things is because I've said yes to every opportunity I could. So whether that's the extracurricular stuff I did outside of school, so I went and got involved at my local youth club, and I did lots of different volunteering. That's probably the way that I've built most of the skills that I use now as Chief Executive. So whether it's around doing presentations, or team building, or managing a budget, it's usually skills I learned through things I did outside of school as much as the things I did inside of school. In terms of my kind of career path after school, again, it was through the volunteering I did whilst I was studying that I got my first job. So I volunteered for the local MP when I was studying in Birmingham, and it was through that volunteering I did that I managed to get my first job working for the local MP there. So again, I'd say it's often through routes through volunteering that you might find your way into work. Similarly, through some of the work I was doing there, I got the chance to go and do a trip abroad, and I've never thought I'd get to go to some of the countries I got to go to. But again, through that, I met all sorts of different people that led on to different career opportunities for me. I think the main thing I would say in terms of ways you can find your way into different jobs and different opportunities is, one, start to build your own network if you can. You might not realise it. I didn't realise I was doing it to begin with, but all through kind of school and then university and all the different jobs and things I've got, I've kind of been building up all these different people who have either supported me or I've worked with in all sorts of different ways, and they've basically become a really important informal network for me now. And you don't realise it, but it's quite a small world. And in all sorts of different ways, when I think, oh, I need to get something done, or I need a recommendation for a person to come and speak at an event or something, it's that kind of informal network that I've formed in my head that I realise I lean on more and more and more. So all those different people you're meeting do different things. Try and kind of keep in touch with them and keep your own network and build that network. I would also say, if you can, try and, this sounds like a really obvious thing, but try and support other people as much as you can, because then they will really support you. I've definitely found in all the different jobs I've done, if you treat people with respect and you support people, then they'll want to treat you with respect and support you as well. I would also say, as I said, grab every opportunity you can with both hands. Even if sometimes it looks like it's going to be hard work, I think often I've found I get the most out of things where you have to work really hard, but then you get the most reward in return. So put in as much as you can into every opportunity, and you'll get, as you know, everything 10 times back. So, you know, work hard, but realise that you'll get lots back in return. But also, I think try and do jobs that you can do that you really enjoy. I know that that doesn't always sound like you are going to enjoy going to work, but one of the things I've always thought has been important is I almost don't always think of it as work. I really enjoy, you know, getting something out of everything at work every day. So to really try and work hard on thinking about what other things you enjoy, whether you're at school or at college or in the volunteering you do, and try and build your career so that there's something that you've got passion about. Because I think if you're passionate and enthusiastic, then you will always do well and go far and, you know, achieve great things because you're doing something you really believe in. So I would just say, I guess, follow your heart if you can. You know, work hard and realise you've got to, you know, obviously work hard to get paid, but you've also got to find something that you really enjoy doing. So there, you know, a bit of background on me really, and I really wanted to open up and see if anyone had any sort of questions or comments around, you know, ideas that you've got around careers or things you might like to do. So if anyone's got any questions? Yeah.
Were there any women role models for you growing up?
Yeah, I would say that women role models is a really important thing. I came from a really strong matriarchal family where my mum was very much the kind of head of the household, so I always grew up with a strong kind of female role model in her. But also at school I definitely had some strong female role models. But all the way through actually in every job I've done, I've always tried to make sure I've had kind of a female mentor or coach of some sort, even if it's not formal, who's someone who would always kind of look out for me. And I always try and make sure I play a similar thing with young women in my organisation to support them to step up. So I think having strong female role models has definitely played a really important part for me, and hopefully it's something that I will continue to do when working with young women in my organisation.